Hello, my wonderful people. Welcome back to Spice Channel TV. Finally, the Labour Union have accepted 70,000 naira as the new minimum wage. And yes, guys, it's happening. Finally, the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajoro, and his counterpart in the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Festus Osifo, have said the organized labor union has agreed to 70,000 as the new minimum wage for Nigerian workers because the wage reviews in the country will no longer be every 5 years, but once in 3 years. They spoke on Thursday after a meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the State House in Abuja. Now, the Labour president had noted that what has been announced in terms of the amount of 70k happened to be where we are now. But the thing is, they would review this new minimum wage in the next 3 years from now. And they've noted that they've actually come a long way. Yes, the labor leaders have gone a long way negotiating with the federal government over this new minimum wage. And they were initially their proposed minimum wage was 250k, but all of a sudden I think the labor leaders has finally settled for 70,000 naira. So my country people, although the government, the federal government was insisting on 62k, the FG had proposed 62k, but the NLC leaders insisted on 250k, and finally they have gotten to a normal playing ground, a level playing ground, which is 70,000 naira. The labor leaders said that 30k was not sustainable and was unsustainable for any Nigerian worker going by the economic conditions in this country with the inflation, the high cost of living, which followed the removal of petrol subsidy by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So my country people, what are your thoughts on this? So finally, the federal government, the labor leaders have agreed with this new minimum wage of 70,000 naira. But to some extent, some state governors are yet to pay the 30k minimum wage as proposed by the labor unions before now. Some state governors are yet to pay that 30,000 naira as the minimum wage in their states. They are yet to implement it. Even the wage awards that was given to the Nigerian workers by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a means to cushion the effects of the removal of the fuel subsidy in Nigeria, some state governors are yet to implement that wage award of 35,000 naira to the Nigerian workers. Now that they have settled for 70,000 naira, I wonder when this implementation would take place. I wonder when this implementation would kick off. So they've noted that the agreement has finally been reached during a meeting between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in Abuja. So they finally announced to Nigerians that 70,000 naira would be the new minimum wage, and this wage would be reviewed every 3 years. Yes, it would be reviewed every 3 years instead of the initial 5 years that the labor unions normally review the minimum wage, and this agreement will be reviewed every 3 years. So my country people, what are your thoughts on this? The labor leaders, they've tried their best. They've tried their best to get to this point. It wasn't an easy journey. Since October last year, since October 2023, the labor leaders have been kicking on this new minimum wage amongst other requests. They also were agitating for the reduction of the electricity tariff and other demands. But then, this 30k minimum wage, some state governors are yet to implement it. Now that the federal government and the labor unions have agreed on 70,000 naira, I wonder when these state governors will start implementing it. So my country people, it's not easy. Oh, it's not easy. It seems that the labor leaders has finally settled for 70,000 naira, which would be reviewed after every 3 years. I don't know how 70,000 naira would sustain an average Nigerian worker in this kind of a harsh economy, with the way things are going, with the hardship in the country and the hike in the cost of goods, the hike in the cost of goods and services. It's not easy. Oh, it's not easy, but then they've tried, because a lot of protests, a lot of strike have gotten them to this point. So they've done their part in securing a new minimum wage for the Nigerian workers. And then I hope the state governors can, implement this as soon as possible. I hope the state governors will implement this as soon as possible. So we won't be seeing any protests, any strike from the labor leaders, except they have other demands that the government, the federal government, is yet to meet. But for now, the pressing issue at hand is the national minimum wage, and they finally come to a resolution. They've settled for 70,000 from 250k. Their initial price, their initial amount for the new minimum wage was about 400 and something thousand, and then they shifted it to 250k. And a lot of people actually predicted that the labor leaders and the federal government would settle for 100,000 naira. I mean, I also felt that the labor leaders would finally settle for 100,000 naira. But since they've settled for 70,000 naira, I hope the government can keep to the end of their bargain. I hope the state governors can also implement this, because they issued a statement. The Nigerian Governors Forum had said that they won't be able to pay the 62,000 naira as proposed by the federal government, that they won't be able to afford such amount of money, that it's not sustainable to them, that it will drive the state bankrupt. Some state governors had kicked against this. But in a recent meeting by some PDP governors in Enugu State, they noted that they are ready to comply with the NLC's demand. So now that the NLC and the federal government have come to a final agreement of 70,000 naira for the Nigerian workers, I hope they will implement it. Now, these are reactions from Nigerians. It's not easy to confront government to do certain things, particularly when it comes to the welfare of the common people. The position of the NLC chairman and the TUC president are hot. They go through a lot. The only measure they can apply now is to persuade government to work on the price control of commodities, including fuel, reduce tax for workers, and other measures that can make life easy for the common man. So guys, I'm dropping here. Kindly share your thoughts on this in the comment section. Thank you.